think.
In the middle of a street, a house. In the middle of
A little bit of move there. It's Thursday, June 15, 2023. It's the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast. It's more of a news, information, event, gossip mill, rumor mill about Margate, Ventnor, Longport, even Brigantine, and a very special place in our heart for Lower Chelsea in Atlantic City. Hey, everybody, at Down Beach Buzz, we got Sherri Lilienfeld of EXP Realty. She's an expert in all things real estate and chemical engineering, if I'm not mistaken.
I was a chemical engineer in a previous life, yes.
And for some reason, she's able to tap into that expertise and apply it to a lot of land use, investments, and transactions, believe it or not. And over there at Brigantine, beautiful Brigantine Beach, also known as The Rock, that's Paul Zgalich.
Sunny Brigantine, looking nice today.
You can find him at rate.com. He works for Guaranteed Rate. He just came back from a 75-mile out in the ocean, deep sea, off the cliffs, and it brought home some excellent fish, huh?
Sure did. Off the edge.
It was good?
It was great.
All right. So what do we have today? Let's see here. This is the agenda we are going to try to work on, and that is Paul will quickly give us some good news, I hope, on mortgage rates, condo news. We're going to talk about stuff. Sherri specifically is going to talk about what it's like to deal in condominiums. There's a lot of stuff that you may not be aware of. Sherri's going to bring you up to speed on that. I'm going to stir the pot a little bit with short-term rentals. Yes, Brigantine has unlimited. You can do whatever you want. One night, nice. 1 hour. You could do a 1 hour if Mayor Sarah is going to figure that one out. But
that would be interesting, huh? A little 1 hour.
1 hour rentals. Yeah, short-term rentals. Ventnor finally passed a 3-day minimum. But there's some stuff that we're going to bring up that will stir the pot. And Margate business. Took a bike ride when I was Paul. Well, I'll admit, playing pickleball, I stretched one of my glutes, my upper glutes, so I had to take a couple of days off. So
where is your glute?
It's my top of my left butt cheek is where I was injured, so I had to pull back. But I got on the bike and went down to Margate, Longport, and took a lot of great business pictures. Wow, a lot of new stuff is happening. So why don't we get in? Why don't we just start off right now with Paul, the current 30-year rate, Paul. Sure. For June 15, 2023, for those with really good credit.
Sure. Yeah, yesterday was a big day in the mortgage world with the Fed making their announcement from their meeting notes talking about the pause is what we're going to see here for the month of June with not having any additional rate hikes in June. However, they did have a segment talking about where there could be a 2 more rate hike increase that they're going to see over the next year. So over the next couple months before the end of the year, we will most likely see a two more rate hikes, which again, I don't think it's going to have a major impact on what we see because what they've already talked about yesterday is probably baked into what we're seeing currently in rates. But, rates today are between the 6.5 to 6.875 mark for a 30-year fixed. However, I do expect by the end of the year, probably early next year, we will start to see a pullback, especially in 2024. We will definitely see a pullback in interest rates.
Well, that's kind of not too bad. So it's the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast with Sherri and Paul. The next menu here, condo. We don't do condo news. Do you want to maybe take a little walk through the town to see my pictures real fast? Can we do that, Sherri?
Sure.
Let me see what we got here.
Go for it.
I love a Versus Bakery, prepared foods. I spend a lot of time inside of Versus, which I look forward to. J. Lore Fashions. And the business district. You remember that Johnny's Cafe parking lot where they put a development up, commercial below and then up top, some condominiums. Let's take a look to see if it fits. And a lot of people thought it doesn't really fit. But I look at it, it kind of starts to fit. Let's get a little closer. So let's talk about that. People complained, said, oh, God forbid, this did not turn out the way we thought. But what am I missing here, Sherri? It seems like it looks pretty good. What am I missing?
I think it looks good. I mean, you have to think about who are the people complaining. Are they the people that are very close nearby? Like, who's complaining? That's the question. I think it fits in nicely, and the retail space is going to be really nice. It's actually a nice big space. So no
Yeah, well,
issues for me.
the people that complained the most were some other businesses that got together. 3 businesses got together and hired an attorney to kind of slow this project. Or no, that was the other one, the Billy
That was
Ho's
the other one.
Chinese restaurant. But if you're a business, do you really want more businesses to open up? And I would probably think that answer could be no.
That's not true. If you look at like McDonald's business
Mm-hmm.
model, for example, McDonald's would always build near a Burger King and a Wendy's. Like, it brings more people when there's a good like business, and then other businesses just bring more people to the area. If you just have one good business, it's not as much of a draw as if you had multiple good businesses. So I don't actually agree with that concept. So just my personal opinion.
No, that's good. So do you think this disrupts the flow of this business district? Any thoughts?
What do you think? What do you think, Paul?
I mean, it probably does in some cases. I mean, from a lending standpoint, it could be a hard property to comp out because they have to go outside of the market to be able to comp because of the commercial district it's looked at, which could potentially be a very big problem. It's not common to have 2 single family or 2 condo properties in that general location. So it's a tough one to comp out. It is.
Well, Paul, as a mortgage guy, are you more likely to lend money to somebody like this because they have the more valuable residential up top, as opposed to?
Absolutely not. No, it has. This is a tricky one. So if the commercial space exceeds a certain percentage, it is what's considered a non-warrantable condo, meaning we can't lend on the residential side. This would have to be a specific smaller bank, that a local bank that would consider lending in something like this. I got to assume that the commercial space is greater than 25% of the overall square footage, which in turn would be a potential challenge for a conventional Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. However, those price points on something like that is probably what's considered a jumbo loan. And unfortunately, you'll never be able to get a jumbo loan on something like that under its current location.
Any thoughts, Sherri? I think it looks really good, and it brings more. Does it bring more valuable assessment to this block, this CBD, this Central Business District?
Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Would you want to live there with having traffic up and down your street, people walking by constantly, depending upon how late it is at night? Is there a bar within the area? People are up and down the street. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to live there. I don't know how appealing it is for a seller or a buyer, but that's just my preference.
Well, how about somebody who needs an annual rental? There's such an absence of available long-term rentals. Wouldn't somebody jump on that and deal with the kind of noisy summers?
Those properties are so big. I'm forgetting the price, but they're not inexpensive properties to spend that much money to live there. I get that they're big. I mean, I think you have a much more limited market. You tend to get more people who are used to being in a city like Philadelphia or New York, that are used to just walking out of their house and being right in the middle of things. I do think you have a limited market on who's going to live there. And in terms of rentals, they're big properties. They're going to be high-end rentals too. So,
well, the whole idea that this was a quote unquote mistake, because I think the planning board did say that they don't want to do one of these things again. Thus, they 2 times squashed the Billy Ho's Douglas, corner of Douglas and Ventnor Avenue property. Say, now we don't like your plan number 2. I think this is okay, and I think being picky is going to be tough moving forward, especially, Sherri, with the Margate burger truck that's sitting there. That's going to have to be a mixed use, right?
again, the reason why people do mixed use is because as an investor, if you're paying a few $1,000,000 for the land, the only way you're going to recover that money is by having the residential condos that you sell and then having your retail. For strictly commercial spot to spend that kind of money, you have to have a business that's selling gold, not just hot dogs and hamburgers. That's a high price tag to pay for a piece of land for a business if it's just a business.
All right. So it's the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast. Sherri Lilienfeld of eXp Realty and Paul Zgalich of Guaranteed Rate. You can find him over in Brigantine. Go online to rate.com. And don't forget, downbeachbuzz.com. Sign up, get on our email newsletter, reaching over 35,000 people every single month right here on downbeachbuzz.com and all our platforms. Sherri has some updates here. Why are the condominiums and this thing called deferred maintenance, why is it a big deal, even more than ever before when purchasing or dealing with or transacting a condo, Sherri?
Well, first I want Paul to talk.
I want to help out. I'm going to help
Okay.
out with this one. This is
okay.
This is a very big topic that is really taken off. Kind of give you a little bit of an insight. So there's what's considered a warrantable, and then there's considered a non-warrantable condo. These are two different aspects that we see in the industry, both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and I'm talking about conventional loans, not in the jumbo space. There's what's called deferred maintenance. And there was a property that fell and collapsed in Miami, I believe, or in Florida. I believe it was about a year and a half ago. And what happened after that building collapsed is it really got the industry to kind of understand what happened to that condo and what forced it to collapse. And from a lending standpoint, we as lenders, in order for us to lend on a particular property, one, it's got to be a warrantable. And what I mean by warrantable means all of its checks and balances have been reviewed and understood, meaning they have enough money in their reserve budget. And a reserve budget is something that every time you pay your HOA fee, that goes into a reserve account, and that can cover any type of maintenance problems. They also look at warrantable, meaning there's no litigations, there's no lawsuit. I can't tell you how many times we as lenders looked at condos, looked at what's called a condo questionnaire, and seen a slip and fall lawsuit. I can't tell you how many of them are out there. I can't tell you how many times the association has sued builders in multiple different cases. So it came down to the condo in Florida that collapsed. It was determined that it had deferred maintenance. It wasn't up to code, or it wasn't up to speed on how it was supposed to be done in terms of their daily maintenance routine, their daily maintenance schedule. So this is one of the major problems that we have seen in the industry. Everyone just assumes that, hey, it's a condo, I'm able to buy it, I have my cash, or I'm getting a loan, it's great. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We as a lender, we want to not only protect our interest, but we want to protect your interest as a buyer. So what happens now is when a condo meets all of the standards and all of the guidelines that are required, it goes into Fannie Mae approved or Freddie Mac's approved list. Okay. So it's important that anytime you as a buyer have any interest whatsoever in any particular condo, you want to come to Sherri, you want to come to myself, I can find out and do a little research and see if the condo meets all of the criteria, the checks and balances. There's a lot of condos in the Shore area, unfortunately, that are not warrantable condos because of one, deferred maintenance, two, litigations, and then the last one would be inadequate amount of money in the reserve budget. That is the big one, not having enough money in the reserve budget, which is extremely important. I'm trying to think what else is insufficient reserves is one of the main problems that we see in the industry.
Paul, what is the percentage of reserves you need based on the yearly budget. There's a percentage, right? It's
You have to
like,
have 10% over of the annual or the monthly budget is what you need to have in the reserve. That's one of the big challenges that we see. The other is a lot of times, if it's a new construction development, the builder has more than the actual amount of ownership allowed. So if they have more than 10%, it actually might be 20%. If the builder owns more than 20% of the units, that makes it a non-warrantable condo. Okay. The next one, new construction. It's brand new. There's only 6 units in there. None of them are sold yet. You need to have a certain amount pre-sold and sold in order to lend. So a lot of times the first condo in a development is sold cash. That's what helps the association, which in turn also helps us from the lending standpoint.
and isn't there a percentage of investors? If a certain percentage of owners are investors, then you can't mortgage it as well.
That's correct. Both Fannie and Freddie have a little bit different outlooks. One is 30% and the other is 35%. If there's more than 35% investment owned, that makes it a non-warrantable condo. Just because of having an influx there of investors, decreases the marketability of the property.
Right.
So are you okay? Go ahead.
No. So the thing is that people who don't own condos probably like, I don't understand, like, why is there all this deferred maintenance and a poor budget and this, like that, and all this. So I was on a condo board once. It's a strictly volunteer position. It's a very difficult position. It's a very thankless position. And the last thing you want to do when you're on a board is say, hey, we're going to have an assessment. People hate that word, assessment, because that means they have to spend more money. And so this is why you get a lot of this deferred maintenance and poor reserves and things like that. The other thing is people on condo boards, again, they're volunteers. You don't know what their background is. And, you don't know what they did before, whether they even have a lot of times the skills, the budgetary skills, the construction skills to handle these things, to make a decision about what contractor to use to handle rebar reinforcement in a building. So it's actually good. One thing to also look at is the diversity of your board in terms of their experience and what they bring to the table. It is good to have someone who's in construction, someone in finance, things like that. So that's one of the things that happens. And one of the things I've been seeing a lot of lately is, and it's not just here in New Jersey, it's everywhere, Florida, all over where there's condos. And since that building collapsed, is now these buildings are doing the assessments and they're getting the work done. But it used to be that the work, they would stop in the summer. They would stop in the summer because, that's when most of the people come down and then they don't want to be disturbed. Well, now they're going year round, all through the year. If you have tenants, you need to disclose to them, hey, there is construction in the building. Like, you need to know, because they're not going to stop because of liability. They say, well, safety reasons, we have to keep going. We can't stop. So that's just something to consider as well.
The other key point that I need to mention too is having adequate and proper insurance on the building. I can't tell you, Sherri made a good point about these people that are working in the association. They're volunteer. They're there just because they want to help out. There'll be several times that we need corrections through the insurance policy to update adequate coverage. We have to go through the association, then the association calls the insurance company, flood insurance. These are all the insurance problems that we've seen in the industry. So there's a lot behind condos. It's changed drastically since the collapse of the condo in Florida. But again, if there's a particular condo that anyone has any questions about, I'd love to connect.
That point.
Well, I just got a memo. I got a memo here. Zach, our intern, just sent this memo to me, and he said that the Google Analytics, how we keep track of the traffic or the viewership of the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast, Zach did a little report you printed out a report for me and got all these numbers together, and it looks like it's true, Paul. Everything we thought, the popularity of whenever who's on the screen, the viewership goes up or down. Whenever Sherri is on the screen, full screen, our traffic, our user base goes way up, and when I'm on, it just takes a nosedive.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
But I can tell you there's a reason for that. These are the films, Paul. You and I were playing hooky back in the day. We should have been paying attention in class. Let me just show you.
That new girl in our math class.
Oh, yes. Her name's Carolyn Ames. She's a swell kid. I don't know what it is, but there's something about her you like.
Well, she always looks nice to start with.
Yeah, especially when you compare her with some of the weird characters in this place.
Yoo-hoo!
Jenny thinks that she has the key to popularity, parking in cars with the boys at night. When Jerry brags about taking Jenny out, he learns that she dates all the boys, and he feels less important.
So there you go.
Wait. What is the relevance of this? Am I missing something?
All the boys, huh?
Yeah, these are the things you make it out in cars. These are the things I wish I still could do, but that's. But what this is back in 1947, and I just thought that these are some of the films or clips that if we wanted to take advantage of why this show is so popular when you're full screen, this film might help some of our podcasters at home who want to be as popular and as influential as the DownbeachBUZZ Real Estate Webcast.
So it's the good ones, the clean ones that have the popularity, right?
I'm only trying to do a service because it's almost time for our second favorite portion of the program right here. Paul, what do you think?
Stir it up, big boy. Come on, here we go. Check.
Because we're here for the public good, right, Sherri? People, when we're out and about, people always say you guys are doing a kick butt job, and I appreciate that.
I love the video that you got this time. I like that. You're trying to add these like little video clips. That's really what that other thing came from. You're just on YouTube finding video clips.
I don't know if this is in the kitchen of Stephen Cookies or Hannah G's or I don't know, but I'm just figuring it's a good pot stirring thing. And the thing we're going to throw a wrench in the works here, Ventnor just last week adopted a 3-night minimum for short-term rentals. We don't think that's enough because most other short towns are going to a 7-night rental minimum from short-term rentals just to keep the chaos down. Let's take a look, Sherri, at Ventnor last week as they voted for. It's not a 5-night minimum, but they backed off and made it a 3-night minimum.
Also counted 23 people, not a party.
Ben Yellow, it's 1 North Nashville. You miss a meeting and you miss a lot. Apparently, they must have had a big showing of the Airbnb owners at the last meeting if they were able to twist your arm to lower the 5 nights down to 3 on the 3 bedrooms. I guess if you miss a meeting, you just miss a lot. So is that what happened, basically?
We amended the ordinance, yes.
Yes. Okay. So the outcry was bigger from them than from the residents that have to put up with it every night.
We amended an ordinance based on comments made by the public.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to have another look at this after the season's over and we see how bad it is. Thank you.
We moved here 11 years ago because we like the community. We love our neighbors. We do subs on a tub. We do block parties. We help build the pocket park. And then about 3 to 4 years ago, the block started changing in ways we never predicted until 3 out of 10 houses were Airbnbs. The most egregious of which is a massive house approved by you for 9 bedrooms, 18 plus people, 9 individual baths, not 1 per bedroom. In the spring, when my kids came to visit, they couldn't find parking. 7 cars parked, so they had to park all the way to the end or on another street, plus 3 in the driveway. On Saturday night, half the cars in the on Marion were pickup trucks. I don't mind pickups, nothing against them, with 23, mostly young men, aged 25 to 35, drinking beer. Not violent, not even overly loud. That's not a community. The next weekend, the same thing happened, and my neighbor at 103 also counted 23 people, not a party. They were staying there, and they were not one large extended family. I go online. I'm sorry if it's 3 minutes. I look up Airbnb's
Okay.
Ventnor Avenue. The first one that pops up has a name like a hotel. It's called The Marion. Good for 9 bedrooms, 9 private baths. I think it said 16 or 18 plus people. That's not an Airbnb. That's a hotel. The owners come, to my knowledge, 1 week a year. I'm not going to mention their names. They never told us what they planned when they extensively renovated the house.
Wow. 9 bedrooms, 9 private baths. I'd like to throw this out here. These are miniature motel districts popping up. If you don't have limits on how many properties a STR, a short-term rental entrepreneur, can acquire, he's going to turn your beach blocks into a motel zone. It's happening in Brigantine right now. They've been working on this for 5 years. Mayor Vince Serra can't get his act together. It's a mess there. At least Ventnor adopted a three-night minimum rental. They backed away from 5 nights. They should have a 7-night. But let me tell you, it kills. I'll say it again. Paul, once again, this episode is called what? Stirring the pot. We believe, and I'm going to show you some proof, that the more short-term rentals take over a shore community, it literally will start to kill the community year-round. It'll hurt local business. It'll hurt local business because they only can survive 3 months out of the year. And I'm going to show you some proof of that. Let's any thoughts before I go to the next clip? Because I'm just trying to, once again, Paul, to.
It's interesting you say that, because in Brigantine there's several condo developments that they have their own rules and regulations, and they require a minimum of a 7-night stay for rentals. So condos have their own guidelines on that. I have several friends that own in condo developments that rent, and it has to be a 7-night minimum rental.
Actually, that's very generous. Most of the condos here, they have a
30, right?
3 month.
Yeah.
They just want summer people. They don't want the turnover. Yeah. So that's very, very generous.
So that's a good point, Paul. I didn't realize that people realize that the city ordinance is not sufficient. So they have their own unique 7-night minimum, because they know it's really important to protect that property from chaos.
Sure is.
So let's real quick. Brigantine's been working on this forever, and I believe that there's just so much money in LLCs buying up properties with 3% interest rates, and they know they can make a ton of money just 15 weekends out of the year. Short-term rentals can actually kill a community, and this is a clip where you'll actually see one of the Brigantine councilmen, Paul Lettieri, going crazy because he's on the same block as an out-of-control short-term rental, and still he can't even get it restricted in Brigantine. Let's watch this quick clip.
And I warn my wife, our neighbors, that something bad is going to happen if it doesn't get handled sooner rather than later. And here we are, gunfire and 2 people shot in the middle of our street.
First of all, I don't want to have to sell this place. It is paradise. We love Brigantine. You know, we love it. I really don't want to get shot during my sleep.
And I'm fed up, okay? I'm one of their neighbors. I live on the street. They stand behind my car and piss on the street, piss on my pavement.
Over the summer.
That was actually a Brigantine councilman getting freaked out. That just tells you that even he can't get sanity when it comes to short-term rentals in Brigantine. I believe there's a lot of people that invested a lot of money, and I guarantee you that's exactly why Ventnor was so hot with short-term rentals. And that is why Brigantine's super hot. They're turning into party towns because they're the last 2 towns in this area that I know of that have unrestricted rentals. 1 night, 1 hour only. Short-term rentals can kill a community. So I figured I would just say that, because let's go to around the world. In other parts of the country, the world, they're saying it's killing our tourism districts, that you can't afford to live in your own town. Watch this.
Opts for short-term rental, the unfortunate logical solution. Out of And this is a big problem. Airbnb takes thousands of units off the long-term real estate market, creating an artificial supply shortage, causing prices to skyrocket. The constant noise and annoyance by drunk tourists make areas unlivable for long-term tenants who end up moving out. The landlord is then stuck with an empty apartment, paradoxically located in a less desirable yet extremely expensive area. As less people want to live there, but the mortgage has to be paid, the landlord opts for short-term rental, the unfortunate logical solution. Out-of-control short-term renting initiates a vicious cycle in cities. More Airbnbs mean less long-term tenants and more tourists. This causes more noise and annoyance, which means even less long-term tenants, which then causes businesses based on long-term tenants like grocery stores, hairdressers, laundromats, etc. to close down. Those get replaced by souvenir shops and tourist traps, which turns the area into an urban desert for long-term tenants, which means even less of them and even more of Airbnb guests. The friendly, casual, small-scale world of short-term rentals almost immediately became a cold, calculating, large-scale industry, and a very profitable one at that, to the point where landlords can make more money by turning their rental apartment into a purely short-term operation, instead of letting it out to people who actually want to live there. By the way, B&B stands for bed and breakfast, a type of accommodation where you share the property with the owners during your stay, meaning you get a room inside someone else's place and breakfast in the morning. But that's not efficient enough. As a result, 76% of Prague's short-term rentals are full apartments with nobody living in them long-term, where regular people can no longer afford to live even near the center. For people who actually live in Prague, it's an urban dead zone thanks to short-term rentals. So what's the solution? Easy. Limit or ban short-term rentals. In Amsterdam, you can only let your apartment out to tourists for 30 days per year, while Barcelona practically banned the practice in the center. The result? Living, healthy city centers with actual inhabitants in them. Thousands of locals are out in remote sleeping areas, unable to afford living in their own city. Airbnb is a prime example of why we need to regulate things. Without regulation, all these cutesy, personal, peer-to-peer hipster projects risk becoming soulless, industrial-scale capitalistic endeavors with untold damage to cities and communities. And if you personally own and operate an Airbnb, please consider letting it out to long-term tenants instead. Thank you. And this is
That's a pretty good pot stirrer today, huh, Paul? So the more I thought about it, I go, you know what? The short-term rental entrepreneurs are trying to claim, no, you need more short-term rentals because it fills our restaurants. We got people that say, no, that's not really the case. It kills small business, local business in the off season, those 9 months. And if I can go to January, a couple of months back, January of 2023, Ventnor's Mayor Beth Holtzman, she stepped down. She announced she had to step down from her mayoral role here in Ventnor after 7 years. She stepped down early before her term was over. It's a decision she wanted to make, but she didn't want to make the decision, but the circumstances forced her. Holtzman, Miss Mayor Holtzman, put her home on the market as part of her divorce. This is in the papers. This is not me digging into personal. She wanted this to be in every single newspaper. And it's really interesting that more and more people are not talking about it. Mayor Holtzman put her home on the market as part of her divorce settlement, which will make her no longer a resident of the hometown. I love that city, Beth said. I was raised there. The housing market mixed with Ventnor's popularity made it impossible to find a place in the city, Mayor Holtzman said. She decided to make clear why she was stepping down out of respect for the residents. And to have your mayor have to leave before the term is up because you can't find a place to live, that just tells you short-term rentals have gotten out of control. And as we remember in that clip a few moments ago, Airbnb really got started as hey, I'll rent out a room from my house. I'll give you a mattress. I'll give you a couch. But it turned into an app on your phone that you can easily rent something inside one of these quote-unquote motel zones in these Jersey Shore towns that are losing their community. Paul, I think I made a lot of friends today. But I think realtors would agree with me that there's less transaction of buying and selling because they're getting sucked up by entrepreneurs converting these family homes into motel businesses. Any thoughts?
Well, and then you also have the price of, the pandemic came, and then you had the whole increase in price from that. So it's a combination of things. The average price of the home, as we went through so many times, is way up. And then you have this going on with Airbnbs and not next to you. So yeah, it's a combination of things. It is changing. Our shore market has changed. The demographics have changed. The look of and feel of the community has changed. So,
Any thoughts, Paul, before I get back to my photo slideshow?
You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
I was able to get on my bike. Like I said, I pulled a butt muscle from pickleball, so I had to take a few days off and rode all the way down to the border of Longport and Margate and saw some of the great work being done. Another property. Remember this? I forget what was there. Was there some kind of a home interior place here, Cher, or what? Do you remember?
I still see your video.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a tile place. I'm sorry about that. Here we go.
Oh yeah, it was the granite place. Are you talking about? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, let me get
The
rid of this.
corner by Monroe
Wow.
and Ventnor.
There we go.
Yeah, and then right next to it was also a doctor's office. So it was two properties.
It was a tile place. That's right. Right.
It was a granite tile place, but then also a doctor's office. So it was two properties that were combined.
So, in addition to that construction, I didn't know they popped a Tony Baloney's in there. Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
Some good pizza there, boy.
Yeah, decadently good and delicious. And right next to it, the Sunrise Wine and Tequila Bar. Look how gorgeous that is, especially with the design and the outdoor seating area.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly
nice
surprised. It looks great, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Really pretty. Then on the corner, right here on the lower right-hand side, that's where the Margate Paint Place is. That's where you can sip and paint. So they're a sponsor of Down Beach Buzz. So that's the Margate Paint Place right there on the border of Longport and Margate. So check that out. We have some new pictures of that great location up on DownbeachBUZZ.com. That corner looks pretty good. It's man, things change fast in our down beach area, doesn't it though?
Absolutely. That looks so different.
Maybe we can get that bottle of vodka and get hammered and come here to the paint place. It doesn't have to be wine. It can be hard liquor. Maybe
Sure. Absolutely. I enjoy a little Tito's and club or something like that. That would be great.
So this is the Margate Paint Place. Look how awesome. You bring a party in there, a kids party, adult stuff.
Great. We're talking about alcohol with kids party. It's perfect.
Well, I didn't say that necessarily, but
It's
I was
very nice. It's
nice
beautiful.
and large and spacious. You have your paint stuff up there. And then I come over to Amherst. And what do I see on Amherst?
The bike lane, but where's that what is that on the right?
That's a whole bunch of tractor trailers or whatever with these big bags of blow up bouncy houses for the water park. I was looking at it too, but I'll show it to you. You know what? It just reminded me how beautiful it is up there on Amherst Avenue, even though I kind of miss some of the old school stuff. But yesterday was a gorgeous day. Got to see Betty's Seafood Place and the new cookie and ice cream joint called Famous Cookie Creamery. And right next to it, Betty's Seafood Shack, which I think is a big hit right out of the box.
Yeah.
Pretty, huh?
Mm-hmm.
High tide, so we don't see any low tide today, at least when I was taking. I love these brand new bike racks with Lucy the elephant. Nice, huh? And this used to be Junior's, right? Where we would always get in line for our donuts, right? Maynard's, Sophia's. What a great job they did. Look how pretty that is. Great logo. These are the folks, Betty's Seafood Shack. They're the people behind Water Dog in Ventnor. As you can see, the Water Dog there. This time around, she has a lobster in her mouth. And this is the water park getting ready to blow up those bouncy houses and water slides along the beautiful promenade. It turned out really good. It really does look awesome. I wish they used some of this wood to extend the Ventnor boardwalk to the Margate fishing pier, but maybe one day. That's the water park getting ready. Jerry Blavitt's place. The fishing boat. Half-day fishing. That's the Keeper on Amherst. Always a great time. I think they're doing sea bass, maybe some flounder, maybe. And our favorite structure, Lamberti, still being built. Anyone want to take a bet? Will it be open for the summer of 2023?
They are working on it.
Yeah.
Every time I go by, I see them.
Yeah, so you got to
Maybe
stare
the
at
end
that.
of the summer. Maybe the end of the summer. They have been doing more work on it.
All exterior, some vinyl siding, but nothing interior. It's still a hollow shell, at least. But I did see on the back end, overlooking the water, they do have a deck, which kind of looks nice. And I don't have a picture of it, but and I peeked inside Jerry Blavitt's Memories in Margate, which, if you want to buy it, you have to use some Gmail address, don't you, Sherri?
They also won't give realtors any information unless you have an actual buyer to sign their paperwork. So
So if you are interested in the window of Memories in Margate, Madison and Amherst, if you're interested in purchasing this property, please email buymemoriesinmargate@gmail.com. It's like you don't know who that person is behind the curtain, but it's most likely somebody with legal prowess and in the real estate space.
it's the executor of their estate.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. You only rock once. The Geeter, I missed that guy, man. It's hard to believe. July 3, 1940, he was born, and the Geeter passed January 20, 2023. He always said that. You only rock once. Look at that in the window. And then, of course, the Gary Barbera Geetermobile is parked right out in front with flags, and it's sad. When I get choked up when I see this. Did you know that was out there, Sherri? It's out there as a tribute all this time.
Yes, I was up on Amherst Avenue last night. So yeah.
Yeah. So and real quick, they have some great concerts, outdoor concerts behind the library here in Ventnor. And I thought I would take a couple of photos of those great events, great vendors, the whole nine. I think that'll do it. That was fairly good, huh, Sherri? Oh, no, I one more thing, Sherri. Hold on. Sherri, you got to get out of here, Paul?
I'm going to rock and roll, guys. I'll see you. Catch up with you later.
All right, we'll talk later. All right, good. And Sherri, real quick, give us a background on this property since we're live. Want to describe what it was like to get that started here in Lower Chelsea? Because this is land. You found this land. You found this piece of land right here in the perfect spot, beach block, right off of the border of Atlantic City and Ventnor, right there in Lower Chelsea. What? That's a great story. Tell us how you got that land. Yeah.
Oh, how I got the land.
Yeah.
It was your old fashioned finding the owners, calling the owners, hunting them down, because I had a client that wanted one off the beach, not on the beach, not on the boardwalk in that area. And yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of letters, a lot of calls, but it panned out. They bought the property, and I have to say, though, they went through a lot of iterations talking to different builders because the pricing was so crazy. And they're not real high fancy people, but pricing was really crazy. Finally, they have their builder, but then apparently a lot of delays in Atlantic City with the plans. I don't even know why. I don't even know. Like, if you figure you're asking for something that's within code, why take so long to get it approved? But finally got approved, and very exciting that they're building it.
But look at that location right off the boardwalk. Big, giant, beautiful homes surrounding this property. And that land was sitting there for years. I used to be able to look down at that property saying, wow, who owns these parcels of unconstructed land? And for you to just do some basically cold calling, right? And to find out that, hey, there's a motivated buyer that would like to purchase your land right here, just one house off the beautiful Atlantic City boardwalk.
I have a buyer now who wants beachfront Margate, and I'm doing the same thing. And I did find someone, except they want to buy something else, and they can't find anything else to buy. So it's that whole domino effect where just lack of inventory just affects the sales.
And you quickly did talk about assessments for condo living, but you see the smart condos, they are working hard on all types of structural issues, and it's common, but the smart condos are aggressively going after exterior as well as interior issues in regards to some of the challenges that structures have along the coast, and that is wind and salt air, which could really wreak havoc on a a masonry building, huh, Sher?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not along the coast, it's worse along the coast because of the salt air, but any building needs maintenance regularly, and you can't turn your head on it. It has to be done. Otherwise, the problem gets worse and more expensive. So let's talk about my turtles.
Oh, okay.
When are we going to talk about the turtles? Come on.
I'm digging it up.
This is what's important to me, the environment and our natural guests that live in this environment before us. So it is turtle crossing season. They are breeding. They cross the causeways. The Margate Causeway has barriers set up, but interestingly enough, the Longport Causeway does not. And people are going 50 miles an hour and running over these poor little turtles crossing, actually they're terrapins, excuse me, crossing the road. It is incredibly painful for these turtles when they have a cracked shell and they're still alive. But I mean, obviously we don't want to be running over our turtles. Slow up, slow up, slow up. You think it's debris on the road. It's not, it's a turtle. So please, you slow up, the cars behind you slow up. This is very important to me. Every year I go on about the turtles. It is turtle breeding season. Please slow up.
Speaking of things, creatures crossing roads, Sherri, you are you're an advocate now to keep pedestrians safe. Give us some background on some of the stuff, the research you've been doing to protect pedestrians crossing 4 lanes of Beach Block Road.
Well, so New Jersey state law is pedestrians have the right of way. And it used to just be if you were in a crosswalk. But apparently, even if you're not in a crosswalk, pedestrians have the right of way. As a car, you must stop for the pedestrians. They also say you're not supposed to stop in the middle of a roadway. You're supposed to stop before the roadway. However, pedestrians, please use your common sense. Don't assume someone is going to stop. I have had more people say to me, why do people use their baby carriages as litmus tests to see if people are going to stop? Like, don't use your baby stroller. Just use your common sense. Yes, you have the right of way, but please don't use your common sense. That's all. I mean, I've had so many people complain to me. I don't know why they're complaining to me as if I have some say in the matter, but they do.
Have you gone to the Margate farm? Or actually doing the webcast when the farmers market actually got started today, didn't it?
Yes, it started today, and Margate Green team is going to have a table there as well. I think they have one today. The Sustainable Margate is going to have a table talking about what we do. But yeah, I love that farmers market. It's great.
And we're going to do a special feature coming up. It's called The Adventures of Sustainable Sherri. Remember, because it's that's something that you want to focus on. And I think that's great. Farmers market every Thursday from 8:30 till 11:30. Right behind Steve and Cookies. All right. So, and then what else we have? Here we go. The Barefoot Country Music Fest. You got Blake Shelton. You got Kid Rock and Darius Rucker for the next 3 days in Wildwood. Huge massive.
I'm going down to Wildwood.
There's 40 different country and rock bands. But look at that leading lineup. Blake Shelton, Kid Rock, and Darius Rucker, once the voice of Hootie and the Blowfish. He probably said, I got to get out of that band with that goofy ass name. And Darius Rucker is A-level country artist now. He does a great job.
Well, you also forgot to mention what's going on June 24th. We have Beach Fest coming to Margate. Oh my gosh, you even have a picture or you forgot Beach Fest?
I was going to do that next week.
Oh, okay. We'll do it. Well, next week. Okay. But we do this every 2 weeks.
Yes. And your point is, I'll
just throw that in there. June 24th.
Yeah,
Beach
okay,
Fest in
gotcha.
Margate. Okay.
Right. I think
we have way exceeded our time limit here.
So don't forget to go to DownbeachBUZZ, DownbeachBUZZ.com. Get on the email newsletter. Just put your email address in right here. There's no spam or anything like that. Sherri is a great sponsor of the Down Beach Buzz podcast and the website and social media and all that. You can see stories about the Barefoot Country Music Fest, the farmers market. We even have video of that illegal pop-up big truck meet at the Ventnor Plaza. That was a mess, but the Ventnor PD, and with some help from Atlantic City as well as Margate PD, they squashed this thing. Keep an eye on those illegal ATVs and trucks. They're dangerous. Don't let them spill over into Ventnor. And if you're interested, we got the Al Mackler Cancer Foundation. Help out there, please. And we have pictures of the Margate administration getting some firefighting help and some training. Elton John's coming. If you want to read more about the short-term rental pros and cons, and if you're looking for an awesome place, Sherri, tell us about this listing. You can get 4 weeks in either July or August, or mix it up. Tell me about this vacation rental.
The owner's flexible in the 4 weeks, anytime in July or August. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and walking very close to the beach and castles and Starbucks and this part of town. It's off of Douglas, and it's a great house. The owners are so clean and meticulous about everything. Everything is pristine. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
And they can reach out to you where, if you have some questions that maybe Sherri can help you with. What's your contact information, Sherri?
My cell phone's the best, 609-287-1795. Surely it's on that banner ad somewhere that you have. Where is my banner ad?
It's all over the place. So you know what this means, right, Sherri?
We're done.
All right, thanks. All right, we're here at DownbeachBUZZ.com, Sherri Lilienfeld of EXP, and thanks to Paul Zgalich of Rate.com, DownbeachBUZZ.com. Thanks to John Dragatis, Mel Taylor, and Mel Toxic for helping out, and Zach the intern. Bye, everybody.